The Barefoot Lawyer Reports is proud to announce the publication of a research paper from the Center for Human Rights. It addresses the subject of illegal policing and surveillance centers in America and foreign countries established by the Chinese Communist Party. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Barefoot Lawyer Reports on China. My name is Will Deathridge, the producer, and joining me as always is Chen Guangcheng.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to see you here again.
Yeah, and today we are discussing an important periodic review from the United Nations that is set to begin on January the 23rd. Guangcheng, can you explain what a periodic review is?
Yeah, every year the United Nations reviews the human rights of some of their members. But in my opinion, that is not effective.
Why is that, Guangcheng?
There is a lot of talking, but no action for human rights.
Right.
Yeah, so when the democratic nations criticize the CCP always says our country's human rights are much, much better than before and better than your country, like blah, 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 like that. Yeah, sometimes some activists go to the United Nations to expose what the CCP doing in mainland China, how the CCP persecuted the Chinese people. Yeah, I remember when I investigated the forced abortion in mainland China, the CCP put my family under house arrest. I remember that is 2005. And at that time, the United Nations sent a person come to mainland China to check on the human rights situation. But, the CCP never stopped my house arrest. The CCP put another activist in prison at that time. And the CCP tried to prevent the UN people to meet them. At that time, the UN people could come in mainland China. But now, since 10 years ago, the CCP even refused the United Nations people come to mainland China to check what is happening. So you can see the CCP never think the United Nations is important.
Guangcheng, you mentioned that the UN went to visit your family when you were under house arrest to check on you.
They just gave me a call. They just try to, I remember that person's name is Nowaka. But at that time, Nowaka tried to call me. But, because the CCP cut off my phone lines and set up the cell phone jammers in my house, so I could not get that call. They just called my neighbors, and my neighbors told them what's happening here. Of course, my family members hope they can come to my house to see what's happening, but they could not. When the United Nations requires to go to mainland China to check or to help the CCP to resolve some problem about human rights, the CCP always said, okay, no, I'm okay. We can resolve that by ourselves.
Yeah, and it looks like these periodic reviews happen, like the last one happened in 2018, the one before that happened in 2013, so every few years. So Guangcheng, what do you think that the United Nations can do? Like, what should they be doing right now?
I think, the United Nations cannot just write the report. That is not enough. The United Nations should do something. For example, they should have a rule or rules. If the country prosecuted the human rights activists, they have to let the United Nations send the people to check it and change that. If they do not change that, the country will lose their vote in the United Nations. If the United Nations cannot do that, the organization is not useful. You can see now, looks like the United Nations cannot resolve the international problem, especially the human rights persecution.
Yeah, what kind of pressure can American citizens put on our leaders to encourage more action and less talk against the Communist Party?
Yeah, first we should vote for people who follow the united universal values. For example, the human rights, the rule of law. Yeah, another way is like the U.S. can be a leader to connect other international democratic nations to create another international organization to change the communist authoritarian regime in the whole world.
Well, we will continue to share news about this periodic review. And if there's any outcome to it, we always hope there will be. And you can follow our work at catholic.edu/CHR. We encourage you to share the Barefoot Lawyer reports on China across media platforms like YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and our other platforms. Thank you so much, Guangcheng, for sharing this information as well as your story.
Okay, thank you, Will. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
The Barefoot Lawyer Reports recommends our listeners check out CNBC's recent documentary titled China's Corporate Spy War, which addresses the subject of international property and technology theft by the Communist Party waged on American corporations. To learn more about this documentary, visit cnbc.com.